Hello, I'm Wendy Mitchell. I'm a journalist and film festival consultant, and I'm so thrilled to be here today with Willem Dafoe, legendary actor who is this year being recognized by B3 with their Ben Award. And we're really glad Willem is joining us today online, of course. We're not allowed to meet up together in Frankfurt or anywhere else. He's joining us from Italy. So thank you so much for joining us, Willem.
Thank you.
So, we're living in a strange year, and I was just first wanting to ask you, have you felt creative in this sort of lockdown time? Obviously, you've started acting a little bit again and going to do a little bit more soon, but you can't act during a pandemic that as easily. So, what have you been doing with your time?
Well, I kind of embraced the fact that I couldn't be working. So I really decided that it would be a sort of a retreat and traveling a lot, working a lot of projects recently. I was happy for the break, the forced break, because I like to work, but it really afforded me time to have a simple, slower life, uh, to be in one place for a long time, certainly to reflect. And also, I took the opportunity to take some classes to improve my Italian, take some Italian classes online, some classes in Yoga Sutra, Vedanta, various things that I'm interested in. So I was sort of like a student. um, I cooked a lot. I got to spend lots of time with my wife, which is rare. And so, as far as being creative, those things I guess are creative. But as far as going out to people, there were people that were asking me to do stuff online. And initially, I did a few things, some readings, but I really felt like this was a time to take in what was going on and not really to react to it too soon because it felt premature. And I still sort of feel like that. I'm eager to get back to work, but this whole period I don't think will make sense until we're really on the other side of it.
And maybe it's too soon to know, but do you think some of the things you've been thinking about in this pause, the way you've been living your life, spending more time at home, do you think some of that are things that you can try to carry forward either with your life or your career?
I think it'll definitely happen whether I like it or not. um, you know, I feel like every time I do something, that you try to wipe the slate clean. You don't pile up too many expectations. Once you decide to do something, you try to open yourself to that experience. So, you don't necessarily try to bring previous experiences into it, but it naturally happens because they're with you and they don't go away until they're exercised or resolved or become clear. So, sure, I think there will be a big impact. But as far as performing, I don't know. Performing is always changing for me.
Yeah. And I know you've started performing a little bit again safely, and I know you got a quarantine coming up to make sure you can perform again after that. How has it felt getting back to performance?
Great. I mean, like riding a bike. What can I say? I've been doing it for a while, so look, it's always different. It's always the same. It's always pretending. It's pretending. It's always making things. It's always submitting um, to a situation. And yeah, it felt good to be back working. I like that. I like that level of engagement. And of course, after the quarantine, I like the social aspect of it. I like having this group of people that are trying to find something out, and they all have a common goal, and nothing's normal. You're making stuff up as it goes along. That's one of the pleasures of making performance or movies.
And how, I don't even know if it's something you can describe or if it's a gut feeling more of how do you choose a role? How, I'm sure so many projects cross your desk. Which ones jump out and you say, I need to do this one?
Um, it is intuitive, but I do recognize certain things over time. I'm very attracted to situations and people.
Yeah.
I'm very attracted to, uh, you know, author, directors, auteurs. I'm attracted to people whose films I admire. I can't help but think, oh, that's a beautiful film. I wonder what it would be like to be with them making a film. Um, I want to be around people that inspire me. I'm not a regular industry guy. Even how I became an actor is not a traditional path, since I came up through a very particular kind of theater
Mm.
and still perform in the theater in a less than traditional way, I suppose. So,
Yeah, interesting people that you're always working with. I wanted to talk just a little bit about some films that we'll hopefully be able to see soon. One of those is Siberia,
okay,
which your longtime
Siberia.
collaborator with Abel Ferrara. Then French Dispatch, another favorite collaborator, I think, who's Wes Anderson. And I think, if I'm not wrong, that The Northman has already shot or shot part of it,
Yes,
and that's with Robert Eggers.
it's shooting now, but
Okay, you finished your part.
yes. Okay. Yeah, those are three things that I've done recently, and all three things happen to be directors that I've worked with before. Siberia is a continuation of my work with Abel. He's another American living in Rome. I go way back with him. Uh, our collaboration is special in the respect that I feel like I'm a filmmaker with him, not just an actor. He really invites me into the process very early. um, he's got he's just I like being around him, and I like his approach to cinema. He really loves he understands what's beautiful about the language that's specific to movies. So that'll continue. This is our latest installment. We really tried to tap into something without a traditional narrative and really use the things we love about visual imagery. And the poetry of movies. So that is being released kind of, yeah, unfortunately, its timing is bad. So it's being released now, which with, spotty availability of theaters. Um, Released in Italy. It's been released in Germany. Uh, it's starting to open Spain, other places. French Dispatch is much anticipated, I think, Wes Anderson movie. And to be fair, I really have a cameo, and I don't want to say that's any less important, but just to, to be clear about it, I worked a very short time on the film, but I'm always happy to be a part of Wes's work because um, I love his movies and I love the way he works. Uh, Northman, I made this film with Robert Eggers called The Lighthouse, which I think is a beautiful film, and I think he's a major talent. And this is his next film. It's quite a big film, but it's really clear to me, having already shot my sequences, that he's very capable to make that leap. Sometimes people would stumble just as far as organizing the material or just knowing how to deal with that kind of scope. But he seems very comfortable. Seems basically like the same guy that I was working with on The Lighthouse, but with a uh, film that has a scope, budget wise and shooting time wise, and that's about 10 times as large. So I don't know when that will be finished, but it's a beautiful script and it's material that's close to his heart. And I have a supporting role, but a very beautiful role. So I'm looking forward to when that comes out.
Me too. Thank you. Um, you're talking about some of the, especially Abel being such a cinematic filmmaker. They all are. All three of those are really films I want to see on a big screen. I mean, especially with cinemas sort of struggling or been struggling this year. They're reopening now, but how do you feel about your work being watched on VOD versus in the cinema? Do you really protect that cinematic experience?
I can't protect it. I can only make work that I think is going to be on a big screen. um, you know, you don't want to sound like an old crank, but I love that theater experience of being in a dark room with a bunch of strangers and figuring it out. Uh, the problem not is not only the size of the screen; it's the amount of distraction that people watch movies with now. And when they're at home, there's just a regular sense of, they don't have to come to the movie. The movie has to come to them. And I think that it's too passive. It's too passive. The spectator should participate in the cinema. And that's hard to do when you can stop the movie. You can watch part of it one day, part of it the next day. You can cook dinner, watch the first part, and then eat, watch the second part. It's too distracted. It's we've got a whole generation of people that grew up on YouTube and 30-second clips. So that's what we're fighting. Uh, who knows, that experience, that theater experience is still there, but it's been marginalized. Films don't sit at the center of culture like they once did. But that's what happens after my work. And of course, I'm concerned about it, but I'm totally um, selfish, and I totally think about just my end of the deal. And my end of the deal is try to make things that no matter how you cut them or slice them or dice them or score them or color them, they'll hold up because something at the center of them is integrated and is committed and is an expression of something that's really not really happening, not something that's being dictated or pointed to, but it's a record of an experience. And I think, going back to your question about what films do I like to pursue, there are things that I think I don't always know about, but I'll learn something from. And that's not like just a Pollyanna thing of taking on more experience, but it is about looking for chances to transform yourself and think in different ways, and also beat this very strong influence of cultural conditioning that tends to make us not think originally and not feel originally. So much of what we think and we even feel is borrowed from people that we don't know, out of our experiences. And as a performer, you're always trying to get back to something essential, something that transcends that kind of agenda of a society or a people, or to be free of that.
Mm. That leads really nicely into what I wanted to ask you about, because as you know, the B3 theme this year is truth. And
Ah,
yes, so maybe that is follows directly from, we're not just conditioned responses, what people are telling us. How do you think of truth as it relates to yourself as a performer, to storytelling at large?
um, a huge question. Truth is slippery, as we know. We think a lot about truth now because I can't help but watch some news. And being an American, an Italian, but also an American, I can't help but watch the news and see all the lying and the positioning, and how truths are being things are fabricated. So truth is very much on my mind. As a performer, I think it's not truth is almost like a living thing, and you've got to chase it. You've got to be suspicious. You've got to assess things. You can't take things on too much and then try to convey it. I think you have to have these experiences that bring you closer to what the bottom line is. And as you're making things, as you're performing, you got to be careful not to be embracing certain things, grasping onto them to say that's the way things are. You always have to be fighting that impulse. You really have to open yourself to what's going on, and that's when you learn things without agenda, without they speak to you in a certain kind of clarity and without a kind of selfishness. So you feel more free. So I guess performing as you get older, you get kind of a bigger arsenal of tricks and all that. It's always a struggle to get rid of those, not lean on them, use them when you can as a language, but at the same time, not think that you hold the truth. Keep on chasing that thing that you don't understand. And so I don't know what to say. Maybe I have nothing smart to say about it. I'm always in dialogue with this question, but it has something to do with, chasing the truth and not holding it. And when someone feels like they hold the truth, uh, test it.
That's some good advice. That was beautiful. Thank you. I've heard
Okay.
that you might even have the award with you in Italy. Is that true?
I do. I do. And
Ah,
I have it right here. I have it waiting because I knew you were going to ask.
amazing. It's an
It's
amazing looking thing, isn't it?
well, I don't know how well you can see it on the video, but it's a South African sculptor. I'm not. I don't have his name available to me right now. Let me see. Is it here? No. But it's interesting. He worked with movement of figures, and as you can see, it's nice. It's got a nice chunky heaviness to it, and as you see, the face is in movement.
That's
He's looking for the truth,
very apt.
or
Yes.
he's looking for a good time. I don't know. Give it a little kiss.
So, what does it mean? You get a lot of honors, but B3 is kind of this special organization. And what does it mean to you to get this Ben Award from B3?
Well, this kind of recognition from an organization that whose uh, objectives I identify with uh, gives you energy. It circles up the wagons. It makes you feel strong in your resolve to keep on going on. Uh, and then also very big on my mind when they proposed this to me was I saw the previous recipients, and they're all people that I really respect, and almost all of them I have some relationship to. Some I know personally. I know all of their work. So to be in that company, call me simple, but it's an honor. So I was happy to accept, and I don't know a lot about the organization, and I'm not there, but also it's a little bit of a return to Frankfurt because I some of my earliest theater work, Frankfurt was a very important stop.
Amazing. Well, I think they'll definitely going to invite you to come in person in 2021. So hopefully you can come full circle to Frankfurt. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for your time. Well, good luck with the upcoming films, and we can't wait to see some of this other work in the cinema, seeking some truths. But best
Yes.
of luck to you,
Okay.
and thanks for your time today.
All right. Thanks so much.